Hi, my name is Christine Reed, and I'm here at Auto Effigies today with Valerie and Weiss from Pasadena. They brought their Auburn up here to be photographed at Auto Effigies. And this is a 1929 Auburn boat-tail speedster. Right?
That's a mouthful, yeah.
So, yeah, this is the second year for this particular design. It's an 8-120, which means...
8 cylinders and 120 horsepower.
Beautiful car. It was recently at Art Center Car Classic, and then before that, Dana Point Concours, right?
Yes, and Palos Verdes Concours. So it's been through 3 so far.
What drew you to this particular car?
I've been at a car show and I'd seen a few boat tails and I thought, that is a great design. I've got to have one. And there's a few brokers around the country that I'll call and say, hey, if you find something like this, let me know. And sure enough, we got one. It came out of the Midwest, and everything was fine except we had a real bad time with the starter. And I put up with this for 6 years, and it would bind, and you'd be somewhere at a show, and it would bind, and it would kill the battery, and it would make a small problem even worse. And so we started to work on the starter, and one thing led to another, and it ended up getting a frame-off restoration. It kind of reminds me of a kitchen remodel. We'll just do this, and then before you know it, you're doing the whole thing. There are a lot of boat tails, but a lot of them have been rebodied. More recent designs. But this one is, I wanted to get one that was real, and I bought it, and the broker called me about a week later, and he says, how would you like to make $25,000? And I said, well, what do I have to do? And he said, well, just sell me back the car. And I said, well, wait a minute, it's gone up that quick. 3 weeks later, he called me up, and he said, how would you like to make $50,000? And I said, well, how does that work? He says, well, I've got somebody who can net you a $50,000 profit. I said, well, if it's netting me a $50,000 profit, exactly what is it netting you? So finally, by the time we were ready to ship the car, we were up to $75,000. And I thought, well, this was a winner. This is a keeper. And so I think that was one of my better purchases.
So can you tell me more about the restoration? Was it done in...
It was done in Redlands. 2 areas of contention was in the back of the car there is a wood valance, and so it was that body color or wood, but every show we've taken it to, everybody looks at the wood and says, boy, that is really great.
It's very pretty.
It's a contrast to all of the metal. And the second thing is the spotlight that's on the driver's side running board, and that looks like it came off somebody's Chris Craft. And I tell everybody, well, back in 1929, the streetlights probably weren't that great, and so you needed a spotlight to, find an address or something. I think a lot of people look for a lot of symbolism and meaningful thought, and I think all that they want to do is produce a car that they could sell and make money. And I think in 1929, the car was sold before the crash, but as you move into the 30s, I think that was the bottom line. I don't think that there was any, I don't think anybody sat there and said, well, gee, we want to make a car that in 80 years people are going to spend 20 times what we're charging today, because it's gone. They're not going to make that profit anymore.
How is this car to drive?
It's a truck.
Yeah.
It's a truck, and my size doesn't help, so I'm not very comfortable driving it because I have a real hard time between the steering wheel and the steering column and the stick shift and the brake lever, getting my foot from the gas to the brakes. Get in a car like that, you got to forget about your modern car because it's just never going to perform like a modern Mercedes or a Lexus or something. It doesn't have the technology wasn't there. But on the other hand, back in 1929, nobody knew about that technology, so it didn't bother. They didn't know what they were missing.
Valerie, I understand that you showed the car one time?
I did. This was my very first time showing a car all by myself. Because I arrived and our restorer was there and he had the car judged and he said, gee, there's a lot of enthusiasm for this car. Everybody is walking around this car. I really think people really like this car. And I'm very excited about it because it had just been restored and it was just brand new, never had been shown before after the restoration. But we went up for the class awards and we got first in class. I thought, gee, this is kind of fun. And then they gave all these other awards and we're kind of still left. And I thought, oh, gee, this is kind of exciting. And we're competing with all these other cars that are pretty beautiful. And then all of a sudden, our restorer came over to us and he said, I think we got this to show. Well, just seeing his expression was the best because he was so excited. And we're hugging and we're kissing. And then we, of course, got into the car to drive it up to the ramp and it wouldn't start. We kind of pushed it up to the ramp. We got there, we got the trophies, and it was very, very exciting. A nice experience.
In all the shows we've done throughout the country, we've only come across one other at a show. So there's not a whole, you don't see them very often.
So it never was intended to be a practical car, but it does have interesting things like a golf bag.
It has dual golf club doors on either side, which is really unique. I don't think I have another car that has them on both sides, so you could put them in from the curb or the street side. But there is no trunk. So I don't think the average housewife in 1929 owned that car and would go to the market and shove everything in the back there. You'd never fish it back out.
It was definitely meant for sporting around.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for bringing this beautiful car in here today. It's a very important, wonderful car to see here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For Auto Effigies, I'm Christine Reed. Thanks very much for watching.